All right, sports fans, it is Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, just a little after 7. But that means it is time for another episode of Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy here on Fans Only Sports Network. I'm your host, Chet, and to my left is my counterpart, Duffy. Duffy, as usual, how are we doing this week, brother? It's cold, but I hope you're staying warm out there.
It was pretty cold today. I had to dress up nice and warm for school. It was one of those days where I walked out of the house and I was like, damn, it's pretty frigid.
Yeah, it's pretty brick.
Yeah, it's pretty brick to say the least. It's just like the stuff that you shoot, to women and on the basketball court. But I see you again. Nice to see you today, my boy. Nice to see you today.
Yeah, nice to see you too, as always, Tim. Basically, this week we got a lot of stuff to cover kind of right off the bat. We're going to hop into it real quick, going into the New England Patriots and recapping their successful week, which we called last week on the show that they would take down the LA Chargers, and they in fact did. Going in there, it was a tightly contested game throughout, Chargers leading at certain points in the game, and Mac Jones even struggling in certain points of the game. But a game-sealing pick six put the Patriots up 27-14, and then or to 17.
24-17.
Yep. 27-17, up by 10. Chargers managed to match us, and then the Patriots managed to just hold on by a field goal to win this one, and the Patriots escape LA with a victory. And it was a good one. Duffy, I want to hear your thoughts on this one because you obviously picked it last week for your upset.
Yeah, I did. And I was a little more adamant about the Patriots than you were, admittedly, not to throw you under the bus. But however, Patriots, great win on the road. They did exactly what they need to do. Damian Harris, another great game from him, over 100 yards, that touchdown, or just about, I believe. But Mac Jones, like you said, did not play his best game, completed just around 50% of his passes. And going into this game, if you were to tell me that Mac Jones would have his worst game of the year and the Pats still won, I would have said you're absolutely stupid, but that's exactly what happened. The Pats still won on the road in LA. This is a team that they did beat 45-0 last year, as we were talking about last week. And now this is Justin Herbert against Bill Belichick, 0-2 so far. But Pats on the road, West Coast game, they came up huge. They knew what they had to do, and upset victory. And I told everyone that Pats +4 was free money, and hopefully people listen to me, man.
Hopefully, I mean, and kind of looking at this one, it really came down to, like we said, shutting down, kind of keeping Justin Herbert at bay. Adrian Phillips picked him off 2 times, one of them taking him all the way to the house. It was just an excellent look by the defense on Sunday. Austin Eckler held to 64 yards. He did have a rushing touchdown on the day, but I mean, when you look at the passing game, 223 yards that Justin Herbert threw for, that's not bad. Holding him to that many yards is a good thing because if you let him open up the passing lanes, he's going to make you pay for it. But the Patriots made him pay at the end of the day. Justin Jackson even having 3 carries for 79 yards. One of them was a 75-yard run.
A little padded right there.
And
that big run.
But the Patriots looking solid throughout. And then Damian Harris, 23 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown. Mac Jones, 18 for 35 for 217 on the day. He was only sacked once. But that's Patriots pass rush is really stepping it up. Had 3 sacks on Herbert on Sunday. That was something to look forward to see that pass rush start to get going. And honestly, we just saw a very balanced game come from this Patriots offense. They did everything they needed to drive this ball, to get the ball in field goal range, and to get ourselves in an opportunity to get some points. However, the pick six, that's definitely something that, even though we have to be happy about because it was the game-sealing win, the Pats need a little more consistency on the offensive side of the ball. We're seeing too many times where they just get out of sync. Mac Jones makes a mistake or he is forced to throw the ball away. Something's got to give because this team can't keep mumbling through and just sneaking away like this against good teams.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll take a win as we can get it. For if you're a Patriots fan against a team like the Chargers, who, prior to last week were first place in the AFC West, but that was just a tremendous game by the Patriots. And I mean, like you said, more consistency on offense, especially in the passing game last week. But I mean, that was the worst passing outing they've had all year, and they still won on the road. So I'm not going to complain about this game at all from the offensive side of the ball because the Pats still need to do it at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
especially on defense. Also, holding this high-flying, high-powered Chargers passing attack to just under 250 yards through the air, and no Chargers receiver over 80 yards on the day. So that's a big stat too, because they have two really good receivers in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and the Patriots defensive backs were able to shut them down. So, I think this is really promising for the Pats defense to go into an environment like LA. Sure, there were probably more Pats fans in the stadium than Chargers fans, knowing all these Chargers home games. But, flying to the West Coast, the time difference is huge, and they really stepped up when they needed to. Just get that win.
Absolutely.
This was a game. This is one of those brink games in the AFC playoff picture. One of those must wins down the end of the season. That really could really determine the playoff picture, especially for a team in the AFC West like the Chargers. Every win matters for them. So now the Patriots in at 4-4, sitting right on the cusp of that 7 seed, and we have a couple winnable games ahead of us. The Panthers next week on the road, Browns after that at home. This Patriots team, they looked like a playoff team on Sunday. They did the previous 2 weeks. And, I'm really excited for the rest of the season, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Patriots fan, there's a lot to look forward to because it did look bleak as the season opened up with a loss right away out of the gate to Miami. We did beat New York, but then, of course, you have the tough loss at home to the Saints, a very close loss to the Buccaneers, a very narrow victory over the Houston Texans in which the Patriots did not play so well, and then a very demoralizing loss. Although they kept it close, there's still a lot of hope. Even if you look towards the beginning of the season, this team has been able to stay in these games and stay competitive and not letting themselves really get blown out. The only game that we really saw that was against the New Orleans Saints. So now, looking into this week for the New England Patriots, they're going to take on Sam Darnold in LA. Patriots right now favored at -3.5 on the spread.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold a couple weeks ago was benched in favor of PJ Walker. On the season, he has 18,000 passing yards for 7 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, as opposed to Mac Jones' 1,997 passing yards, 9 touchdowns for 6 interceptions. Also, something to look out for this week is Christian McCaffrey is practicing, and he may or may not start this week. My thoughts are, if he does start, we will see him in limited fashion. However, I think from the Panthers' end, I don't think it would be the wisest decision to make him play, especially after last season where we saw a lot of injuries keep popping up with him, and then he missed the rest of the season as it was. So a star-started running back like him will change the game. However, even if he plays or doesn't play, I still think the Patriots have this one.
I was fairly surprised to check my fantasy lineup and see McCaffrey projected 22 points this week. Just if there's any game that he's going to come back, I was hoping it wasn't this one against the Patriots. But I think the Patriots win this game regardless. Like you said, Chet, this Panthers team has looked really rusty. After starting 3-0 the first 3 games, they had 3 really ugly losses in a row. One of the New York Giants one being the most notable, losing that game 25-3 on the road, with Sam Darnold getting benched, like you said, and only seeking out a close win last week against the Atlanta Falcons 19-13. This Panthers offense has been really out of sync. This last month of the year, sure, McCaffrey would obviously elevate them a lot, but the way the Patriots defense has been playing lately, and Sam Darnold's history against the Patriots defense and Bill Belichick's history against Sam Darnold, I'm sure Belichick's gonna be putting some ghosts in the secondary for the Panthers quarterback on Sunday, and I think the Pats could win this game by double digits, honestly. And that could be biased of me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's a little bit. Obviously we are a Boston sports podcast a little bit.
Yeah.
But I just don't see the Panthers really keeping pace with the Patriots in this one.
Yeah, Carolina Panthers were hot out of the gate. Come week 4, they were sitting at 3-0 after 3 solid victories over the New York Jets, New Orleans Saints, and the Houston Texans. Dropped 4 in a row after that against the Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, Minnesota Vikings, and the New York Giants. Some of those games, might I add, 3 of them were really close. In the Atlanta Falcons, 19-13. So this is another team that's sitting at 500 in very much the same position as the New England Patriots. Sam Darnold struggling, and we've seen the only time he's really, truly at his best is with Christian McCaffrey at his side. However, they're going up against the defensive-minded head coach of Bill Belichick, a guy who week in and week out just seems to have a game plan for every type of offense you can imagine, still keeps these games close. This one's going to be a close one, I think. It's not going to be, I mean, it could end up being a 10-point lead that the game ends on. But for me, I see the Patriots getting out of Carolina with a victory, moving up to 5-4 on the season with a final score of 31-24.
I like that pick.
Solid
They
pick,
cover
right?
they cover the spread. You heard it here first. Unapologetic Patriots minus
Cover the
-3.5.
spread, baby.
-3.5.
All right, so now we're going to head into a little bit of some unhappy news that came basically yesterday. This news broke yesterday and this morning.
Understatement for this.
That's an understatement. It's a huge understatement. Henry Ruggs, the other day on Tuesday, or was it Monday night? It was Monday night.
Yeah, Tuesday morning. So like it was like Monday night, Tuesday morning, like 3 a.m.
Tuesday morning around 3 a.m., Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs III was driving 156 miles when with the blood alcohol content twice Nevada's legal limit before his car slammed into the rear of a vehicle that burned, killing a 23-year-old woman and her dog, according to prosecutors. Henry Ruggs was arrested and charged as of yesterday in the late evening and was released by the Las Vegas Raiders this morning. This is devastating because this is a 22-year-old wide receiver who is younger than me and was a top prospect.
Never even thought of it like that, dude. That he's literally like a year older than me, you know?
And was a top prospect in the National Football League coming out of last season, was picked in the first round in the NFL draft by the Las Vegas Raiders. Now his career is likely over, and we may never see him play in the National Football League ever again. And it's just devastating news for the league that has already dealt, and especially the Las Vegas Raiders have already dealt with enough of a headache this year coming from John Gruden a few weeks ago. And now you've got Henry Ruggs III in a DUI accident that's going to result in jail time.
I mean, this is just the most, catastrophic thing you could imagine from an NFL player, honestly. I mean, just the details of it just get worse and worse and worse. I mean, there's him going 156 miles per hour at 4 a.m. in a Las Vegas strip road. It's not even a spacious road, not even a highway or anything. He's going, I didn't even know cars could go that fast, Chet. I'm going to be honest. I saw that. I had to be like, 156.
Yeah. When I heard that today, I was like, that is just because it was actually somebody asked me, they said, guess how fast he was going. And I literally said 70 miles per hour. And before I could even say my second guess, he just let me know it was 100.
You were less than half.
I was halfway off. I could not believe.
Before we forget, we had to give condolences to the family of the victim.
Mm-hmm.
23 years old is, way too young. To lose a life, and she had a lot ahead of her, and it's just such a shame that it happened in such a terrible way. And then there's also the part where the crash itself didn't even kill her. It was the part that the car burnt on fire and she was burnt alive.
Yeah,
you can't wish that on anybody. No matter how much you hate somebody or like, it's just this is literally one of the worst ways to go out. Henry Ruggs is gonna have to live with this for the rest of his life. And I saw a video of Mike Florio earlier from NBC Sports saying, Henry Ruggs deserves compassion. He's a young man, but at the end of the day, I mean, this guy was making millions of dollars. He had a lot of potential. He showed it this year. He was on pace for a 1,000-yard season almost, on route to, set his family up for a generation or two in the very least. And, just does something stupid and melts it all away. I mean, it's such a good lesson for people like me and you, Chet, in our young 20s. Me and you, obviously, or you and I, as I should say, obviously, went to URI, big party school,
mm-hmm.
A lot of booze, and
a lot of substances.
The fact of the matter is, you can't do that. You can't drive impaired. You can't put people's lives in danger. And the fact that Henry Ruggs was doing that with his girlfriend in the car right next to him is absolutely disgusting. I don't feel bad for this kid at all. And as much as people want to say that he's going to live with this guilt for the rest of his life, this and that, I mean, dude, I guess it's one thing driving drunk. I've never driven drunk, by the way. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to drive, I know if you're going to drive drunk, because I have friends who have, admittedly. Dude, why are you going 156 miles per hour?
Yeah.
Like, you literally want to kill yourself your girlfriend or someone else.
Yeah.
And he had it coming for him, man. It's such a shame. And
Yeah.
it makes me put my own actions into perspective, just thinking about to be cautious,
Yeah.
to not, abuse substances.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, I heard this news yesterday, and there was a period of time when I was in my bed just sad about it. And I was like, damn, that literally could have been any of us or one of my friends. This is a 22-year-old guy trying to make a name for himself. And in the blink of an eye, his life is over. Simple as that.
Yeah. Definitely kind of putting yourself in that person's shoes is the best way to think about it, because we all know how serious DUIs are in this country and even in this world for what we expect of people, that you should not get behind a motor vehicle if you are in fact impaired and heavily drunk, like Henry Ruggs was on Monday or Tuesday morning in this case. And for me to kind of like really put into perspective of what this means for my life is, it really makes me think more about, kind of second guessing myself and being like, do I really need to have this drink before I get on the road? Or or am I too drunk to get behind the wheel? It's one of those things, especially kids our age who are still in college or are just entering college, or even just people in life. If you are going to get behind a motor vehicle, make sure you are sober enough to drive, because you could seriously put yourself at risk or others at risk. And this was a huge example of what not to do. And especially if you're any kid in high school who's thinking of getting drunk and driving, or just, like I said, anybody in general. It's just something that the NFL obviously had to take action for, and it's good that they did, because this is something that could not.
Either way, he's going to jail,
Yeah, no, the NFL taking action, even just police taking action, despite being who this man was, what he played for, what his career is. It doesn't matter. You should not have any second chances for something like this. This is just, he needs to pay for what he did and needs to face the music.
I mean, I feel bad for his family, also because, they probably looked at him all of his life saying, "You're the chosen one. You're the guy who's gonna get us out of this." He's a Southern guy. He went to Alabama. I just feel bad for his family. Watching, their son, one of their lifelines, just do something like this, dude. It's just so bad, and it's just I can't put into words. And you know what the worst part I heard was? Ben Catino told me yesterday he saw a tweet that said NFL players, obviously they have a huge network, the NFL, they have this 24/7 call for a ride hotline. They can just get a ride, and he just decided to drive his Corvette in Vegas, dude.
It's unbelievable.
Maybe it is also. I saw other argument. Maybe this poses the argument that teams don't belong in Vegas. Vegas is a party city, this and that. But at the end of the day, I mean, this can happen anywhere. And Henry Ruggs had, arguably the worst lapse of judgment I've ever seen from anybody. Ever.
Yeah, no, this is just something that just can't be tolerated, and it will not be tolerated.
I mean, the fact that he was going 156 miles per hour it makes it the most inexcusable thing I've ever heard in my life.
I could never imagine driving that fast. That
is just too feel like, dude. Like, I don't even know.
I've hit 110, 120 before, not in my car, but in a Mustang, and it's so fast. Like, it's cool because you're like, holy shit, but at the same time, it's dangerous. It really is dangerous, and especially being intoxicated triples the danger going on there. So, kind of final thoughts on this really is just, it's a shame for the Las Vegas Raiders organization. It's a shame, and our hearts go out to the family of the woman who did pass away. 23 years old is too young to lose a life. Has so much ahead. And even Henry Ruggs, it's tough to see that he is in this situation, but it is what it is. He chose to get behind a vehicle.
His own damn fault.
It really is. And it's a shame, but this is the reality of the situation and the world we live in.
Everyone just think twice and look out for yourself. Look out for your friends. When you guys are inebriated and stuff, make sure everyone's a safe ride home.
Absolutely. Best way of putting it.
Terrible stuff, dude.
All right. So that's a wrap up on that major headline that came of this week. We have two more major NFL headlines starting right out of the gate. Aaron Rodgers diagnosed with COVID-19, and it shocked the NFL world as of Wednesday because Aaron Rodgers apparently is not a vaccinated person in the league, which is kind of a little ridiculous that he had to lie about it. A little ridiculous that people had to look into it, but hence, hey, it's a protocol that needs to be followed in the league, and it's taken seriously. And Aaron Rodgers is to miss the Chiefs game on Sunday, but Matt LaFleur kind of wanted to hide it for a little bit. He didn't even mention for a while that Aaron Rodgers had a COVID-19 positive status, or he hid it, and he also hid his vaccination status. So it's a lot of weird things going on here.
Just so many weird things. And, with this situation, and I know other quarterbacks in the league like Kirk Cousins are not vaccinated, and you're watching the Vikings broadcast, they're like, Kirk Cousins has to, be away from his teammates all week and wear a mask on the sideline, this and that. But Aaron Rodgers, we see him on the sideline, no mask, in the preseason on the sideline, tracksuit, no mask. It's a bad look for Aaron Rodgers. It's a really bad look for the Green Bay Packers organization. And I'm expecting an investigation from the league. This one, or maybe not a huge one, but at least a mini one. Not even a mini, dude, because this has to be investigated. A fine has to come out of this to Aaron Rodgers or the Green Bay Packers. He lied about his vaccination status and broke COVID protocols for half the season. And I don't know how they got away with it. I mean, it's quite impressive to me on one degree, but it's just so confusing.
Yeah.
It's really confusing.
And it's very strange because in August, a reporter in Green Bay asked him if he was vaccinated for COVID-19. And Aaron Rodgers said in confidence, yes, I am.
He said he's immunized. That was the word he used.
Immunized. That was his wording specifically.
What a cheeky answer. Like
it really is, because I mean, hey, I get it. If you don't want to get the vaccine, that's totally fine. Just follow the protocols as they come, that sort of thing. It's to protect you. It's to protect your players. And I mean, you can't really go hating on. I mean, you can't yell at the dude and be like, oh, you need to get vaccinated, because that's his choice. But at the end of the day, protocols should be followed by the rules that the league set forward. Now, this kind of sets the precedent for what the league's going to bring down. We're probably going to see a suspension. Well, not a suspension, probably a fine of some sort come to Aaron Rodgers for something like this. Yeah. It's probably going to lead to it becoming a much more serious thing for the league to really.
It has to be. This is worse than Deflategate, in my opinion. I mean,
yeah,
you're risking your team, you're risking yourself and your teammates for half the season, and it's a terrible look for Aaron Rodgers. It's just. He should be fortunate that this isn't the NBA. He's on a Kyrie Irving type of situation where he'd be forced to get vaccinated to play home games. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, they have options. The NFL has protocols for players who are not vaccinated. And the fact that he just, circumvented them the last 2 months, 3 months, 4 months it's mind-boggling to me. It's crazy.
It is.
I guess it was probably that stupid Halloween party. He was John Wick though. His costume was fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew you would like that. Big film guy, big
I still have yet to see John Wick, if I'm being completely honest.
Oh, really?
I need to see that.
I've never seen it. I assumed you would, because I know you're a little.
It's a badass movie from what I've been told. So, but
this also sucks, by the way, because do you remember 2 years ago? This is one of the 17th games they had, this Packers Chiefs game. 2 years ago, Mahomes was out for that Packers Chiefs game. Matt Moore started. This is the second straight time we're going to miss a Mahomes Rodgers matchup.
Yeah.
We could have had in the Super Bowl last year, but Packers, choked.
Yep. Again, the case of the choking. So Packers right now sitting at 7-1 in the NFC North, having only lost their first game of the season in a blowout to the Saints, 38-3, have won 7 straight games in a row, head to Kansas City to Arrowhead against the 4-4 Chiefs, who have really been struggling this season. Jordan Love will be taking the helm for the Green Bay Packers in this matchup.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. So
first career start. My cousin played college ball with him at Utah State.
Wow.
Allegedly, he's a cool dude, and I'm excited to see what he can do, because I know he's got a cannon. I know he's an accurate passer. Threw a lot of picks last year at Utah State, but this is his time to really just make a name for himself against the defending AFC champions on the road. If he wins this game, then I don't want to see a Jordan Love meme for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, no.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough one because obviously, I mean, you get Devontae Adams back, you have Aaron Lazard back, so that's going to be good. Your team's very intact in terms of the wide receiver core. It's going to come down to that Packers D really causing Mahomes to make mistakes because Patrick Mahomes already on this season. I mean, he's kind of been a little all over the place when it comes to actually being accurate with the ball. And as you can see, he's constantly scrambling because the pocket protection just breaks down so quickly. Right now on the year, Patrick Mahomes is throwing for 2,368 passing yards for 19 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. That's more than the last two seasons. And he's about to match his 2018 season of just 12 interceptions. He will probably surpass that by the end of the year. So this could be an interesting game that we see. It could be a tightly contested one. So that
Yeah,
will be something to keep an eye
I
on.
think it'll still
Finally,
be close. I think it'll still be close. I'm
yeah,
going to blow them out because the Chiefs have looked terrible this year.
yeah. Finally, one last headline to talk about in the NFL right now is Von Miller getting traded to the LA Rams from the Denver Broncos. That is probably one of the biggest moves that happened before the trade deadline this season. And this really boosts the front seven of the Los Angeles Rams. And Duffy, I don't know right now, but honestly, right now, the Rams are the runaway favorite for the NFC at the moment.
I wouldn't say runaway.
I wouldn't say runaway, but they're
I wouldn't
definitely
say
on the
runaway. They still
top.
got that guy in Tampa Bay. I mean, the Rams really are a favorite to win the AFC, the NFC, excuse me, right now. Especially adding Von Miller, but it all depends what Von Miller's availability is going to be. Um, Also, that's going to be a big X factor too. And I mean, their defense got a whole lot better. They have arguably the two best pass rushers of this generation. Not the two best because there is that guy named J.J. Watt, but they the best. Sorry, excuse me.
No
They're all in the
problem.
same division now, though. I was going to say the three best pass rushers of our generation are all in the same division, or the last decade or so at least. And this makes the Rams way more of a contender. They already were to begin with. They've been on an absolute roll. They're looking at the hottest team in the NFC right now. Adding Von Miller is going to do them a lot better. And you know, we just always think the Rams are done making moves. Getting these first round picks. So Jalen Ramsey saw it moving up for Jared Goff a few years ago. Saw it for who else am I missing, dude?
Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks.
And then this year, Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford, yeah, obviously. I forgot to say that, but that was a given. My bad.
Yeah.
But they just really show that they don't have to build through the draft. They try to get these established players. We see it the last 5 years from this organization. They're the most aggressive team in the league in terms of making trades for big name talent. And I love this move. They only had to give up 2 late round picks for him. It was pretty much a steal if he's healthy and he can play. But Von Miller, he's already a Hall of Famer. He has nothing else to prove really in this league. Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl champion, 8-time Pro Bowler. He's a beast.
Has a chance to win a second.
It's kind of awesome to see him in a different uniform, change the scenery, and allow him to compete for another championship.
Von Miller has yet to be in the playoffs since 2015 when the Denver Broncos
my
won.
charger. I'll be right back.
Sure, when the Broncos went to the Super Bowl against the Carolina Panthers in Super Bowl 50. So this is the first time he's going to be on a playoff caliber team. And this is going to help open the pass rush for players like Aaron Donald on the LA Rams, or even Von Miller himself. There's a lot that the Rams bring to the table, and there's a high chance they go to the Super Bowl this season because of a move like this helps cement something like this.
There's a high chance.
I think there is a high chance. I mean, look at the team that they got in front of them.
High chance?
I mean, obviously, you still got teams like the Arizona Cardinals, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Green Bay Packers all pleading their case completely. And all 4 of these teams are going to butt heads, and it's going to be a great postseason. I'll tell you that. But we still got a ton of regular season games to cover, and we are only in week 9, so there's still a long way to go before we head to
Rams,
week 17.
For the Rams to be the favorites in the NFC, they just got to be the number 1 seed. They got to make sure that the NFC runs through SoFi Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Brady and the Bucs absolutely clapped there a few weeks ago. We see it pretty much every team they've played get beaten pretty handily. This is arguably the best team in the NFL. And but heavy favorites at this postseason. I mean, I would say heavy favorites if they had established championship pedigree. They don't have that yet. Tom Brady has it. Aaron Rodgers somewhat has it. Matt Stafford hasn't won a playoff game yet. So I don't want to pick Matt Stafford. And if Matt Stafford's playing Tom Brady in a playoff game, I am not picking the Rams.
I'm obviously not saying that. I'm just saying, I'm hyping up the chance that, hey, you could see them in the Super Bowl. It's just one of those things.
We could. And, very potent offense. Sean McVay obviously has been one of the best coaches in the NFL the last 5 years. And we can't mention the Rams without talking about Cooper Kupp and the season he's having too. I mean, he's on pace for 1,900-something yards. He's on pace to almost break Calvin Johnson's record from 2012, and he very well could do it with 17 games this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, the Rams just got Von Miller, and they just got a little bit better too. So I got to give them credit where credit's due.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll see where the Rams end up in the postseason. And next week, we're actually going to do some early AFC and NFC matchups going into the championship round. We're going to talk about that next week, so stay tuned for that. And we're also going to give you our early picks for your NFL awards at the end of the season. We usually like to take the time to do that at mid-season. Yes. Give you an idea for what to expect, so you'll have your offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, rookie of the year, and, of course, your National Football League MVP. So all of that coming next week on Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy on Wednesday at 7 p.m. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But we are not done here. So heading
Chet
into
we do love those mid-season awards. I remember when we did them 2 years ago.
Oh
I picked Gardner Minshew as the rookie of the year over Kyler Murray. That was an L.
I was like, bro, what's wrong with you?
I mean, he was looking good, man. He was looking good.
Hey, and then Kyler Murray blew it up at the end of the year.
Yeah. Then he had some big wins, but yeah, look forward to that next week.
So. All right, so now switching leagues, and this is the one league we're going to switch because Duffy, unfortunately, is too pissed off to talk about the Boston Celtics, and honestly, there's not much to say besides they kind of suck right now.
Yeah, they do suck, but I'll name drop the Celtics real quick. They suck. They blew a 14-point lead if you missed it the other night against the Bulls, and good for me. I live bet Chicago Bulls, baby. I'm not gonna lie.
That's funny.
I'm not gonna lie.
All right, so now
let's never bet against my own team. Sorry to cut you off.
We said that this game was going to hit 7, and we were 1 off. So the Braves last night shut out the Astros 7-0 and walk away with their first World Series since 1995. Your boy Freddie Freeman catching the final out of the night to make him a World Series champion. Something everybody wanted to see was to see Freddie Freeman win a World Series in Atlanta. It's finally here. And honestly, out of all the teams besides the Red Sox, they're in the postseason, I am very happy with this. But this was something that was kind of out of left field because a few years ago on our other podcast, Duffy, you and I were talking about the year when the Astros lost in the World Series to the Washington Nationals. This is one of those moments again, and it's in the same division they get beat.
Yeah. I mean, this is just very disappointing for Astros fans, first of all, because it's the second time, like you said, Chet, in 3 years, where they've watched their team lose the World Series at home.
Mm-hmm.
This one probably hurt a little bit less than 2 years ago when they lost all 4 games at home. But, shout out to the Braves. This was a team that faced a lot of adversity this year. They had the least amount of wins of all 10 playoff teams heading into the dance this October. Only 88 wins on the season, which is one of the lowest of all time for a World Series champion. And, they lost their best player, Ronald Acuna Jr., correct, about midseason. So,
they lost him in June, which was a huge blow because he had, I think, at least 12 home runs at that point.
Yeah, dude, he's a beast. And, for a baseball casual like me, I mean, I even know he's a beast. So,
yes,
I watched a lot of this postseason. I watched, some of the World Series. It was a really good series. The Braves came out in this series looking hot, winning the first game. And never really looked behind after that. They really had their foot on the gas for most series, especially up 3-1. And all these Atlanta 3-1 memes were coming out, 20-3 memes. But Atlanta, the city deserves it. I felt bad taking the Super Bowl away from you 5 years ago. I didn't. But you guys deserve this one. And long time coming for the city for a championship for them.
Absolutely. And a big shout out to my uncle who is no longer living in Atlanta. He is now living in South Carolina. But a big shout out to my Uncle Tom, who out in South Carolina, who was definitely cheering when the Braves won last night. A huge win for them. Jorge Soler, your World Series MVP, starting the year on a last place team with the Kansas City Royals and getting traded midseason to the Atlanta Braves, really boosting their offensive potential going into the postseason. And he was a postseason beast. He looked great, and he did it in this World Series. He had a home run last night to really get them going. And hats off to the Atlanta Braves. They are now the champions of the MLB. They are on top.
Yeah.
And, we'll have some off-season talk coming in the next few weeks as free agency is to hit. But your MLB season is officially concluded. Braves on top of the MLB. A huge congratulations to them. And we look forward to seeing them compete again next season against teams against teams in their division again, because they really had to battle back from being in third and fourth place at one point, all the way back up to first and winning that division late in the
losing
year.
record at the All-Star break. I saw that on SportsCenter last night after the game.
Yeah, I mean, the Nationals at one point looked like they were in line to run for the division. The Mets were on top all the way until after the All-Star break. They started to trickle down. The Phillies heated up at one point, and then the Braves kind of came out of nowhere, but they made some good trades to keep their offense, to boost the offense and keep them going forward. So once again, a big congratulations to them. And with that, we're going to head to the final segment of the night. It's been a heated matchup throughout the year. Duffy and I, we're close, but Duffy did manage to sneak out 2 wins last week with the Niners over the Bears and the Patriots over the Chargers.
2-0, baby.
Chet was not so fortunate. Cardinals managed to lose to the Packers in a close one, 24-21. The Titans, 34-31 over the Colts, managed to make me 8-6. Duffy leading at 10-4. So Duffy, you're the hot team right now. So for you, who are you taking for your lock this week?
So you're letting me go first than the hot team. How about I defer to you, Chet? Because I'm so hot. You gotta let me go last.
Sounds good to me. All right. So for my lock this week,
I still got to pick. I'm looking at these spreads. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, no, that's all good. I got to get myself back on the board this week. And if I had to pick a matchup, I'm going to go with the Mickey Mouse pick. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sure. Obviously,
I knew you were going to do that shit.
Obviously, it's in Jacksonville, but, I need something.
It's Mickey.
I need to get myself back on the board. The Jaguars won their first game a couple weeks ago ever in 19 games. So for me, this is an obvious pick. I have to go with Buffalo if I want to get back in competitive. Josh Allen's probably going to throw for like 250 to 300 yards on the day and have at least 3 passing touchdowns. It's going to be it's going to be an ugly game for the Jags, but the Bills, it's going to be another win for them.
That was just a test. If you went Mickey Mouse, I guess we'll go Mickey too. I'll pick the Dallas Cowboys, pictured here as my lock, at home against the Denver Broncos. Dak Prescott, last time he went to Denver 4 years ago, if you remember, sucked through like multiple picks, lost the game, not revenge game, it's been like 4 years, but Dak Prescott at home, coming back this week, most likely from the injury, and the Cowboys, they're a spirited team. They're an inspired team right now, just won the road with a backup quarterback in Cooper Rush. And I'm getting booze from my roommates about this pick, I think, maybe.
What?
I'm picking Dallas, man.
That's a solid pick.
My Mickey Mouse pick of the week. I'll put it back up for myself too, because that kind of was a BS pick, but I was being cheeky.
Being cheeky. All right. The upset's going to be tough. There's not a lot of good games to really pick here.
So I guess I'll go first.
Yeah, go ahead, Duffy, please. Because,
right.
Obviously, I'm not going to argue with anything you just said there, because I really don't see the Cowboys losing this unless somehow that Broncos D just suddenly comes alive and Teddy Bridgewater's like, hey, I'm just going to drop dimes to Jerry Jeudy, even though he's not even playing.
I think he might come back this week, actually.
Ooh, okay.
I heard that this might be his comeback week, because my boy Chuck, my roommate, he's like, dude, I'm starting Jerry Jeudy. Check it out. I was like, come on, man. But my upset of the week, this is a tough one. There's not too much upset potential this week. Some good lines, some really close lines that I could like, but I'm going to have to go with a gut feeling on this. I'm going to say Cleveland on the road plus 2.5 in Cincinnati this week. Cleveland just lost to Pittsburgh, close divisional game. was tough. Bad loss for them. But the Cincinnati Bengals had a terrible loss themselves against the New York Jets, 34-31. Players after the game saying it didn't even feel real that they lost to the Jets. It's gonna be a really big wake-up call. Getting back at home this week, playing the Browns in Paul Brown Stadium, and losing. Cleveland, they got to bounce back. No Odell Beckham Jr. Obviously, he's been out indefinitely. But they just lost a really close game, really tough game to Pittsburgh, game that most people thought they should have won. And Baker Mayfield against the Bengals in his career, he's 4-0. I think he's 6-0 so far. I think he's 5-1 against the Bengals all time in his career, and beat them twice last year. Lost me some money both times, but gave me the Browns in the upset, and it could go either way, but it's just a gut feeling. Gut feeling.
I understand gut feelings, but in this one, I'm not going to say you're an idiot because that's not true at all.
Well, my other gut feeling was Atlanta over the Saints. So
I know. There's a lot of tough ones this week. This one, hey, I like the call. I think it's going to be an interesting call, but it's tough because for me, Cleveland, too inconsistent passing through the air. We understand their MO. They're going to be handing it to Nick Chubb, Ernest Johnson. They're going to try and get that ground game going. Without Kareem Hunt there, those two guys are going to be in the backfield. And that's the bread and butter. They're a rush-powered offense. But for me, I think we're going to see Cincy really start to tell people, hey, we're going to be a problem in this league. We're coming for the postseason this year. We want to make a push. And not even that. We're going to make a push for the division because they have a chance really to upset the Baltimore Ravens this year if they can stay competitive in these games. And I think this is one where they're going to stay close, but they're going to manage to sneak away with a victory at home. I think we're going to see Joe Burrow be the talk of the league next week. So for me, I'm going to take Cincy.
The talk of the league? He'd have to have Mike White numbers to do that.
Talk of the league as in saying, hey, look out, Joe Burrow and the Bengals are for real.
I'm sick of this Amari Cooper picture. I'm getting Mike White on the board.
All right. So now my upset this week, it was a tough one, but I'm going to say the Chargers dropped 2 in a row as they head to Philly. Philly, I understand why people are kind of hesitant with being like, hey, well, the Eagles are kind of a little all over the place. And sure, they are. But you know what? They went into Detroit and they had a complete blowout. It was a huge pick-me-up game, 44-6. Chargers led for a while against the Patriots, and the Patriots managed to come back and defeat LA. This was a huge loss for them at home, and they're going to have some time, obviously, to think about this one as it is on Sunday. However, they are going into Philly, and that crowd is not very friendly to opposing teams.
Yeah.
And I think the Eagles are going to be able to make this team fall to 500 on the season, and the Philadelphia Eagles will push themselves back up into the division race. However, it's still kind of led by games ahead of them by Dallas, but it's going to keep them alive. They want to stay alive in this division because the NFC East, anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting pick. I did look at that line, but I could just never bet on the Eagles, man. I'm sorry. I watch this team every week, and I'm like, dude, this team is terribly play called. Their rookie head coach. I don't like the way they look, and I like Jalen Hurts a lot. I think he's a really good quarterback. But like you said, it was a great pick-me-up game last week against the Lions. But you know what that means? Complacency. For a young team, they might get a little bit too comfortable. And the Chargers, another young team, lost home to a team that they should have beaten, the Patriots. They're pissed off. And they're going to come in the stadium, win by a touchdown. Herbert throws for 4 of them. And this Eagles secondary, remember, Chet, they're a bad secondary.
Yeah.
Not secondary at all. They've had some good games against the Falcons and the Lions, but
I think it's just going to end up being one of those trap games. I think it's just going to be a low-scoring affair.
I was thinking the Saints-Falcons could be a trap game for the Saints.
It could be, but I almost took
trap games this week. Well, I'm going to take the Chargers in this one, 30-21.
I almost called Atlanta, but I just feel like the Saints just have too nice of a record where they're just not going to let that slide in some way. Their defense is elite. And think about that. They just defeated Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week soundly without Jameis Winston. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to look at going into this week, But yeah, so that is a wrap on our final discussion of the night. So we thank you all once again for tuning in to Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy. We are here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. for your favorite sports talk throughout the NFL and throughout all major sports leagues. We thank you all for tuning in, and we will catch you all next week. This is Chet and Duffy signing off. And go Pats.
One more thing, guys,
Yep.
before we go. I gotta give you guys the lock of tomorrow. Jets plus 11 right here. Mike White is the prophet, baby. Damn it. That's all I'm gonna say. He just has like a 4th grade, realistic fiction book main character name. He just threw for 405 yards. This guy's a beast. Slam it, baby. Jets plus 11. Because I'm
Slam it. Potential upset for the Jets tomorrow night. And for now, we will catch you all next week. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you then. Go Pats.
Peace.